Alright, y'all, I don't know where to start with this one, but in this video, we're going to be taking a look at my takeaways. Really, this is a post game from the Detroit Lions versus the New England Patriots. So let's get right into the video. Alright, so this is right after the live stream of the Detroit Lions versus Patriots game. So I kind of lost my voice. I was yelling a lot during the game. I was trying to get excited over things that really weren't exciting because, I was excited for the season to get going, even though it was pretty much a letdown of a preseason week one. You guys know me. I'm the positive Detroit Lions guy, and I'm going to try to make this as positive as I possibly can. The Detroit Lions had a pretty disasterful first game in the preseason. And one thing I'd like to say is let's not make a big deal out of it. It is the preseason. A lot of these guys won't even be here during the season. But again, it just wasn't a great way, and it wasn't really a good way to vibe with the whole Detroit Lions thing. Everybody was so exciting going into the season, and then this happened. And it was super unfortunate because it's one of those things like, hey, it's not even a real game. It still takes a lot of all the hype that was around the Detroit Lions, even though we should still have that hype because we really weren't playing with a lot of people. So here are my takeaways from the first game. Here's who really shined to me, and there was a lot of players that didn't shine. So let's start this off. We're going to start this off with a specific player, and that guy is Michael Ford. And Michael Ford had a very, very bad day. Michael Ford did not play very well today, and he definitely did not help himself. This is a guy that's definitely on the roster bubble, and I have a lot of respect for Michael Ford for coming in last season as an undrafted free agent, helping us out at that number 2 cornerback position. I have respect for this man, and I was hopeful that he was going to do his thing, be even better in 2019. Now, again, I don't want to be that guy that overreacts and says, oh my goodness, these guys are terrible because of one preseason game. Look, he's got 4 weeks to definitely help himself out, but what we've seen through the first preseason week is he's struggling, and he just didn't have a good day, so it definitely hurt his chances. Now, the offensive line as a whole, I can't even pick out specific players. If you want me to, I can. Andrew Donnell, Terrell Crosby, those guys specifically didn't play very well, but the offensive line as a whole didn't play well. Now, we didn't see a lot of starters. I really didn't even see Joe Dahl. So with that, the offensive line, though, this didn't play well. Terrell Crosby, Andrew Donnell, those type of guys, that backup offensive line unit played horrendous today. And I think a lot of people want to say David Fales is terrible. Stop. David Fales was not the problem tonight at all. The problem was we could not block a single thing. And you're just going to want to look at the specific numbers. Okay, passing yards, we didn't have a lot of passing yards. David Fales is the problem. No, the problem was we couldn't block. And this is the same thing that we did with Matthew Stafford. So if you're against the whole hate on Matthew Stafford, then you're a hypocrite to say that the reason that David Fales didn't play well today, because that wasn't the problem. The problem was, first of all, he had no running game. He had a little bit, but they could not block, like, at all. There was no blocking whatsoever. I think there was 8 sacks on David Fales. 8! Like, there was no blocking. There was no time to get passes out. There had to be 1, 2, 3-second passes. And the problem was he just never had time at all. He was always running around. And the times that he did have time to throw the ball, he actually did have a couple of good completions over the middle. I saw some sparks. I saw some escapability. I saw some nice little passes when he was about to get sacked. And I saw a guy that was fighting for his spot because Tom Savage went down early with an injury. And he came out there through the first quarter on. He was okay. He didn't play bad. The offensive line struggles made it look a lot worse than it really was. Now, with that, we also had a pretty bad sign with the penalties. The penalties were not good. We had way too many penalties. Matt Patricia alluded to this at halftime, saying the penalties were a main problem with this game. And that's something that we've been trying to fix. We had a lot of penalties, and you're going to get that with young guys, with new guys. But that was also another problem that I saw. I also saw Amani Oruwariye. Now, Amani Oruwariye, you may want to say on the surface, this guy was bad because he gave up the big touchdown. He gave up a couple of big routes. He could let N'Keal Harry have a couple good catches. Who, by the way, N'Keal Harry, you look really good, man. I don't like Patriots, but N'Keal Harry looks good. So does Jarrett Stidham. But the problem is Amani didn't play that bad. He started off bad, but then I'd like to see how he adjusted, how he got back, and he was back at it. The third pass that I thought him throw his way, he was like basically locked onto the wide receiver and was in a position to come up with an interception in the end zone. The wide receiver at the last second actually knocked it away and deflected the ball, so there was no interception. Then later in the game, Amani was right there, right on the wide receiver's hip. I don't really know if he touched the ball or not, but he was still forcing incompletion, and you could say it was a drop pass, but Amani definitely adjusted and started to play better. Miles Killebrew was maybe the biggest bright spot of the day. Miles Killebrew played really, really well, and this was a great time for him to play well. Knowing that the Detroit Lions defense didn't play well and there was not a lot of bright spots, for Miles Killebrew to play well, he definitely stands out amongst a group of a lot of other players that didn't play well. Playing at the linebacker spot for the Detroit Lions, he looked really, really good. And he brings something that not a lot of teams have because he is so athletic. It would definitely help him out, gave him extra speed, more than a lot of other linebackers have. He also is a very big hitter automatically. And he also can help covering as that linebacker position. Miles Killebrew played really, really well today. I think he had the biggest bright spot of the day for the Detroit Lions. I also saw David Fowles, like I said. I don't think he played bad. I think he played okay. I think he had good moments, actually. The problem was the offensive line when it comes down to it. Santoso also got the Detroit Lions on the board for the first time with a field goal. It was their one and only score of the game. They only crossed the 50-yard line one time. Santoso got a field goal after a couple of sacks, backed them out of field goal range and penalties. Again, those were the two main problems I took away. Offensive line struggled, and you had penalties. Now, if you look at the defense side of the ball, we didn't look much better. Why? Because our defensive line struggled. We couldn't get pressure consistently, and that definitely doesn't help out your secondary like Michael Ford and these guys trying to play zone. When you try to play zone, you have to get some pressure. If you're not getting any pressure, at times people are going to sit down, they're going to get open in holes. So you have to find a way to get pressure, and they weren't getting pressure. Same thing with man. Someone's going to get open at some point, so you have to find a way to get pressure at some point. We weren't doing that. So as a secondary, it makes your job very, very tough. Now, I did see some good things from the rookies. Travis Fulgham found a way to get open one time deep. Problem was it was a little bit, you could say, overthrown. I also saw Jelani Tavai play pretty well with adjustments. We saw Ty Johnson with that burst of speed here and there, even if they were called back. We saw Hawkinson a very, very little bit, so I really have no take on that. Jesse James came up with a good grab. The rookies played well. From what I could tell, the problem was the offensive line and defensive line. From the inside out, something that we have been trying to fix was the problem. Now, again, these guys aren't going to be starting, so keep that in mind that a lot of these guys maybe not even will make the team. But it's definitely a wake-up call that the offensive line is not where it needs to be for that backup group. And that's something that has to be fixed. Expect a lot of changes this next week, whether it's just moving guys around or even bringing in new players. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens starting Monday. We also saw a lot of drops, and that was something that I hate to see. And I can't even pinpoint this to one wide receiver because I saw so many guys do it. Whether it was a tight end, whether it was a wide receiver, we saw drops, and that's super unfortunate. You know, some people are a little nervous, right? It is their first game. A lot of rookies, your first preseason game, you're going to be a little nervous, but we still saw a lot of drops, and hopefully we can get that thing fixed. I saw covering struggles, like I said, with the zone, but again, that comes down to not getting pressure, so it makes it a lot harder to cover. And like I said, I saw a lot of good wide receivers wide open, and they also made some good grabs, so I'll give them that credit as well. Starters played a very, very little bit. Stafford didn't play today, even though they kind of tricked us. He walked out there like he's about to play, and then he didn't. Jesse James, like I said, had a really nice grab, and Tavai did his thing. We took away 3 injuries, and that's one thing that you never want to see, but we did take away 3 injuries. Those guys include Tom Savage, which I don't think is as serious as the other ones. Jermaine Kearse, who reportedly broke his leg, and that's something that you never want to hear. And Darius Kilgo, who went down, who's a veteran, who was a nice defensive line presence. So we didn't have a lot of good takeaways from today, but it only means that we can go up from here. So in week number 2 of the preseason, we should be a lot better. And don't be worried. This is the preseason, not the regular season. I'm still sticking to my gut that we're going to be really, really good in 2019. Believe me, we'll be okay. Anyways, if you guys have any thoughts, let me hear them in the comments below. I want to thank every one of you that came to the live stream. If you didn't make it to the live stream, make sure you guys are there next time we do it. We'll probably be doing that through the regular season as well. It's a very, very fun time, so make sure you get on that action. And I guess those are all my takeaways. I want to thank you guys for watching. You guys have been outstanding, and I couldn't ask for a better audience. Thank you, Prep, for watching, and I'm out.